Okay, so as in the last video, we have discussed about the tubular reabsorption, which was the second step of urine formation. So in today's video, we are going to discuss about the transportation across cell membrane. Alright, so today we have a topic that is transport transport across cell membrane. Cell membrane. Now we do have two processes, like transportation can be done across cell membrane by two processes. The first one is passive transport, in which no energy will be used, and then second we have active transport, in which energy will be utilized to perform the transportation. Alright, so we do have two processes we do have. So let me make like this. Alright, let me write here down. So the first one we have, that is passive transport. Passive transport, in which no energy is used and the concentration gradient will be high to low. Alright, so let me write here the concentration gradient, that is always high to low. High to low. Concentration. Alright, so passive transport. So second we do have, that is active transport, in which energy will be used to transport the nutrients or to transport the ions across the cell membrane. So active transport, in which energy is used and the concentration gradient is low to high. Alright, low to high concentration. Low to high concentration. Alright, transportation across cell membrane can be done through two processes. Those are passive transport and active transport. Passive transport, no ATP is used. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy currency of the cell, and it is not used in the passive transport, while in the active transport ATP is used and adenosine triphosphate is used to transport the nutrients or ions across the cell membrane. So here I can write as well, no ATP. Wait. No ATP used, and there ATP is used. Alright, here I can write ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell, adenosine triphosphate, is used. Alright, so I have written this as well. In the passive transport, no ATP is used, and in the active transport, ATP is used. Now these are further classified into two types. Alright, so passive transport has two types, which are simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. So I can draw here the classification. Wait. Alright, and active transport is again further divided into two parts. Those are primary active transport and secondary active transport. So here we have primary, and there we will write secondary. So I'm going to write here down. Here simple diffusion, simple diffusion. And second type of passive transport is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. These both are the types of passive transport, means here ATP won't be used. Diffusion. Alright, ATP won't be used here in the simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, since these both are the types of passive transport. But again, we do have in the active transport, this is further divided into two parts. So that is primary active transport and secondary active transport. Secondary active transport. So in these both types, primary active transport and secondary active transport, energy will be used, just because these are the types of active transport. So in the active transport, ATP is used. So in the primary transport as well as in the secondary transport, ATP will be used. Alright, so now let's talk about what these diffusions are actually. Like what is simple diffusion, what is facilitated diffusion, then what we have primary active transport and secondary active transport. Let's see. First of all, we are going to discuss about the simple diffusion, which is the type of passive transport. So what is simple diffusion? Actually, we are going to discuss that now. So let me change the color. This is the fine. Alright, so this is the cell membrane we do have, and we know that our cell membrane is biophospholipid layer. Like there are two layers of lipids, biphospholipid phospholipids layer are there. So here I am going to make lipids. These are phosphate, these are lipid. I should make label small. Wait. This is the membrane we do have. Now I'm going to make, this is the phosphate. Since phosphate is a hydro lover, so that's why it is placed in the end. And lipids are hydrophobia, that's why they are placed inside. All right, here phosphate lipid, phosphate lipid, phosphate lipid. Here this is made like this. All right, as I told you, lipids are hydrophobia, so they are placed like this so that water cannot touch them. And since phosphates are the hydro lover, so they are placed like that so that water can touch to them. So here I have phosphate and here I have lipids. They are placed like this. These are phospholipids. Phosphate, again lipids. This is the cell membrane. All right, this is the cell membrane and this is biphospholipid layer. So now what will be happen? As I told you, in the passive transport, the gradient is higher to the lower concentration. So for suppose if I have a one cell, in that cell carbon dioxide concentration is higher. Carbon dioxide concentration is higher, and like outside the cell or inside the cell, the concentration of carbon dioxide is not higher. All right, so what will be happen? From the higher concentration to the lower concentration, carbon dioxide will be diffused. So let me draw here. It will be diffused, simply diffused. All right, this would be diffused and it would come here. So this is a simple diffusion. All right, since they are non-polar lipid soluble, that's why they are like simply diffused. So this is the simple diffusion we have. Now let's move towards the facilitated diffusion. What is facilitated diffusion? So I'm going to make the cell membrane again. So this is the cell membrane. Here we have biphospholipid layer. Here I have as well. Alright, so in this facilitated diffusion, the ions or the things will be moving from the protein. They won't be simply diffused, but they will be moving by the proteins from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, since it is a type of passive transport. Alright, so here we have a protein. Alright, protein. Here we have protein. So let me make here it's a little bit bigger. Here we have protein, as you can see here. All right, and if I have sodium ion here, since it is a polar, so it won't be soluble in the lipid, right? So what it will do, it will be passed by this porine. Wait, by this aquaporine, not aquaporine but protein. So here the sodium concentration is higher, and here the sodium concentration is lower. Since it is passing by the protein, that's why it is known as facilitated diffusion. So let me write here down. It is a protein. Protein. Alright, this is a protein. And this is a facilitated diffusion. Now we are going towards the primary active transport. What is primary active transport? Let's see there. Alright, so in primary active transport, since it is a type of active transport, the things will be moving from the lower concentration to the higher concentration, and ATP will be used as well, because this is a type of active transport. So let me make this down, because we don't have place here. So here I'm going to make active transport. Alright, in the active transport we have in the cell membrane pumps. Those are known as sodium potassium pump. Alright, so I am going to make here the sodium potassium pump. This is what? This is sodium potassium pump. And this is attached in what? In the cell membrane of the cell. Alright, so what will be happening? Wait. So basically, if this is a cell, I have here we have pump. Here we have pump, which is known as sodium potassium pump. So let me write here down. Sodium potassium pump. Like here, 1 ATP will be used, and 3 molecules of sodium will be gone outside, and 2 molecules of potassium will be coming inside. So this is the sodium potassium pump. It will use 1 ATP. Alright, so here 3 sodium ions would be going outside, and 2 potassium ions would be going inside. So let me do this. This would go here and this would go here by using 1 ATP. So this is primary transport, in which sodium ions are going outside and potassium ions are coming inside by using 1 ATP by the sodium potassium pump, is known as primary transport. Alright, so now we are going to discuss about the secondary transport. What is secondary transport we do have? So in the secondary transport, again we do have two types. What those two types are? Wait. So the first one is symport and another one is anti-symport. Wait. This is symport, and another one is anti-symport. Anti-symport. Alright, as you can see here, secondary active transport is further divided into two parts, symport and anti-symport. Alright, what will be done in the symport? Like if I have a pump here, if I have one pump here, this is a pump, alright, and I have here lower concentration of sodium. Since we know that in active transport the things move from the lower concentration to the higher concentration, and I have here glucose which is also low. So what will be happening, like we'll be using energy, alright, we'll be using energy ATP to make this sodium get outside the cell, and again if sodium will be going, then glucose with that will be going as well. So this is symport, like with one thing and other thing is going as well without using energy. Glucose is not using energy, but sodium is using energy to go there, and glucose is then going behind the sodium. So this is symport. Alright, this is symport. So now let's talk about the anti-symport. What is anti-symport? So let me make here pump again. This is the pump. Alright, so now if I have sodium here and if I have hydrogen here, what will be done? This sodium will use ATP. Since sodium is lower here, it will like move from the lower concentration to the higher concentration. So anti-symport what will do, this sodium will go there, and if this sodium will go, then hydrogen has to go there. As you can see here, their direction, these are anti directions. All right, sodium is going there and from there hydrogen is coming here. So this is anti symport, in which sodium will go, if sodium will go there, then hydrogen from there has to come here from where the sodium is leaving. Alright, so this is anti symport. So this was all for today as we talked about the transport across cell membrane. In the next video we will be going with the RAS, which is renin angiotensin aldosterone system. When your BP will get low, this process will be activated. So in the next video we'll be talking about that. This was all for today.